Hey everybody, this is the Big Toad here. Welcome back to my series on developing a 2D side-scroller game in Unreal Engine 5. This is video number 2 in the series. Alright, get your game open and in the construction views, and we will start by moving some objects out of the way. We click on the object we want to move, this front panel, and you can see the arrows. We'll grab the green arrow and slide it out of the way. Remember, use the scroll wheel on the mouse to scroll in and scroll out. Give us a little more room there. And okay, it's off our platform. Then we can select that side wall and move it over there. And we'll get this other side wall and move it over there. Now we could have just deleted these, but I'm going to save them for use later. All right, let's click the green arrow and run this game. So I wanted to run this game in order to show you what we've done. We took the sidewalls out, and yes, if we run off the edge, we kill the game. So we'll hit escape and get out. And we're back in the developer platform view. So let's position ourselves to the front of that. So we can scroll in and out, and if we hold down the A button and scroll, we'll move one direction. If we hold down the D button and scroll, we'll move the other direction. With those functionalities, we can move just about anywhere we need. And it gets a little easier. It takes practice. I'm going to center myself right in front of the platform so we can move on to the next steps. So let's go up here to the top left, and we can change to the various views there. There's a front view, and we can change it to a back view. And so we can look at our level, our platform, from various views. And this gives us the ability to then move things around a little easier and to gain perspective. And we can change that to front, to back, to top, to bottom, to left, to right. I wanted to show you that real quick, but let's go back up and change it back to our perspective view. All right, so we're hopping out to our perspective view, and I want to point out from this view right here, we're actually looking at this platform from the back, not from the front. That's just the way Unreal Engine does it. I don't know why, but we're looking at the world from the back. So when you go into those other optional views, front, top, left, right, you're going to be, the one that's going to be same as this is the back view. Now let's make some changes so this operates more as a 2D side-scroller game. And so you see the arrows here. We have a blue arrow going up, we have a green arrow pointing to the right, and we have a red arrow pointing away from us. When we're in a 2D game and we're doing a side-scroller where everything's working on one plane, we eliminate movement on the red axis. So characters will not be able to move away from us and towards us. They'll only be able to move left, right, and up and down. So that's what we're going to start doing, is creating our world, our platform, so that the character can only move in that direction. So we'll make modifications to the character, and we'll make modifications to the platform to give you various views on how you can manipulate that for your 2D game. Now, if you want to make a hybrid 2D, 3D game, we can leave in the forward, the in and out, the red axis where the character can move in and out. And we'll use other methods to constrain the character so it can't move off the world. And you can do that as well. But for this game, we're going to start with just the two planes, up and down, left and right, no in and out. But along the way, I will show you some other 2D, 3D hybrid methods that you could employ for that type of game. Now to get started, let's go down to the content drawer in the bottom left, and you will see that we have a number of folders there that we can select, and it's got various content. We can really stay out of the engine one. That's not one we're really going to mess with, but we do have third person, which we're going to go into blueprints. And blueprints is the power of Unreal Engine. And if you've done much study on blueprints, you'll see, you've heard that blueprints is a method for developing games without using code, without using programming code. So you don't have to know C++. We can just use our blueprints. So that's what we're going to do. All of our coding in is actually blueprint design work. But as you can see, we have lots of other blueprints in here with all kinds of shapes in all these different folders and all these different items that we can put into the game. This is some of that starter content we selected. But we're not going to use some of it. Some of it we will. Here's textures for various different textures on our objects, which we will use. from time to time, and we can experiment with some of those. You can explore that. So there's a lot of different things in this that comes with the starter content. All right, so let's right click on that content folder, and we're going to create a new folder. And now we can name that objects. If you right click again on that folder, you can find a rename function in the drop down that you can use to change it if you didn't get it right the first time. And also under that same menu, we can change the color of the folder. And that way it stands out. And I like to change the colors of my folders so it's easier to find them. Now my object folder is a bright yellow. By clicking the triangle in front of a folder, we can open the subfolders and we can view them. So let's look inside the third person folder and open up the folder labeled Blueprints. Inside that we have the third person blueprint, and we have a game control type blueprint. We're going to focus our attention in the third person blueprint. Double click on that and it opens up. And we find ourselves looking at the event graph page. And this is where we make most of our modifications to blueprints and create functionalities within the game. So here we're looking at a camera input, and it moves the camera around. We have down here a movement input for the character, and we have a jump input here. And so those control various aspects, and that's what makes the current character work. We're going to make some changes in here to make this work as a 2D character. So let's go to the movement input. And this can look intimidating at first if you've never worked with Unreal Engine, but we'll walk you through this and you'll begin to catch on pretty quick. So this movement input handles the left, right, and the forward, backward types movements. And so we're going to make some modifications here. There's the forward and back section, and that's the red axis that we're going to eliminate. So there's that green line that comes out of the bottom of that, and we're going to follow it up, and you see this little node here. That's a node we can put in there, and we can disconnect things from that node. And so by clicking that and saying disconnect, we are able to eliminate it. Now that's not exactly what I want to do, so I'm going to put that line back because I want you to be able to go back in and see what you've done. So I've hit Control Z to put it back. Now if I double click that line, I get another node. And so I'm going to push that node, slide that node down just by grabbing it. And now I'm going to break that link, and now you can see those two green lines. So they're really close together. Hopefully that'll help you remember that those were connected when you originally came into the game. Now what that did was that eliminates now this blue box at the end of this part of it to do anything, because it's no longer connected to the main stream by that green line, so it can't work. So now we've eliminated, so I'm going to put in there, I'm going to double click inside there and put that in there, disabled for 2D side scroller. And now that's out of there. So again, if you are really, really good at Unreal Engine and you're watching this, you're probably saying, well, there's better ways to do this. Why are you doing it this way? Well, I'm trying to help new users get started quickly. And this is a very simple way, just breaking that one node. Now go up here to the top left and hit compile and save. Now let's minimize this view, and now we're here at our platform view, and let's run this by clicking the green arrow. Now if you click the W and the S buttons, nothing happens. The character will not move because we disconnected that forward and backward, that in and out movement. But if we click the A and D buttons, we can move from side to side. So already we've constrained our character from moving on the red axis, the in and out, the forward and back. They can just go right, left, up, down. Still have the jump, and we can still fall off the platform and fall down. But that was our first step. Now, if you're playing around with this as I am, you'll find that you can do some strange camera movements that just don't work in a 2D game or a 2D side scroller. And even worse, by being able to manipulate that camera, we can change the character's direction of movement, so now it's off of the backward forward axis, and so that has to be fixed. And when we fix the camera, we'll fix that. So hit escape or press that red box and kill the game. Now go down to the content drawer and let's open our third person blueprint character. So let's drag our blueprint around till we're at the top above the add input mapping. And by right-clicking, we open this selection box where we can find the items we want to work with in our blueprint. Let's type tick in there, and we find the event tick item. And we can just click on that, and we add the event tick. It is from that drop-down box that we're going to add 99% of all of our nodes and parts to this blueprint. Now we're going to use event tick in several places in our game, and best practice is to try to find ways to avoid using event tick because it checks this node every time there's a tick in the game, or every time the processor goes through. And those ticks are measured in milliseconds, so you can imagine how much that's doing. By left-clicking on the little arrow and dragging out and letting go, we open that selection box. So that's another method you can get to it besides just right-clicking. So let's type in get actor location. And we don't quite have what I want, so I'm going to go over here and click the context sensitive. And now I find I can get actor location. So sometimes you got to turn that off because it hinders what you search for. Sometimes it's very helpful. It narrows things down, and sometimes it gets you the wrong node. So there, I'm going to click on that one and pull it into the game. And you can drag those around and position them how you want. And I can highlight them all and drag them in one big group. I'm going to need a little more room to work here, so I'm going to shrink that side panel down, drag that down, grab them both, and slide them up and give me lots of space up here. Now by right-clicking on that little return value or yellow circle, by clicking split struct pin, that gives me broken down into return value for X, Y, and Z, which is what I need here. So you can flip it back and forth. But I need it on split, so I'll put it back to that. Now I need to bring in another node, so I'm going to go back up and drag out, and I'm going to get my box open, and I'm going to type in set actor location. And I can check that top one there and pull that over. I'm going to line it up nice and straight and neat. And repeating the process I did on the last one, I'm going to break that structure down into 3 X, Y, Z locations. Now on this new one, you'll see we have the locations, and behind them we have a little box with numbers in them. So let's click on the little green circle and the Y return value and connect it to the Y location. And let's connect the Z location. But we will not connect the X value. And so what this is going to do is make sure the character stays where it belongs. Now this works because the get actor location gets the current location of the actor or the character, and then it moves that information along those green lines to the set actor location. And the reason we didn't put the X value in is because we want to set that permanently to the same thing, forcing our character to always stay on the same plane for the X axis. And so it won't move back and forth in and out along that red arrow. So in that set actor location in the box for X, we're going to leave that at 0.0, so it'll stay at 0 on the plane. And again, of course, there are better ways of doing this, but I'm trying to get you there as quickly and simply as possible. And as you learn more about Unreal Engine, you can find other more creative ways to make this work better. So we're going to need a custom event. So let's right-click on the screen and open the box, and we're going to type in custom and find us a custom event item. And we're going to put that into our blueprint. And we can put in a custom name for it, but if you forgot to do that, you can just right-click on it or double-click on it, and you can pop in there and change the name. So we'll pop back in there and we'll type in a new name. We're going to call this update underscore animation. And we won't do anything with it right now, but I wanted to put it in there so we have it. And then we'll go back to our other blueprint item that we just worked on and add a call to that. So we click on that arrow and drag out. Our box pops up and we type in update animation. And there it is. There's the event we just added. And we click that. And we add that to our blueprint. And now the event tick is going to set all this stuff. And then it's going to call the update animation. And we'll work on that a little more later. Let's minimize our blueprint and go into our platform view, and let's run this and see what our changes have done. see if they work, see if we cause any errors. Don't forget to compile and save. Then minimize, and we can start the game. Now our character has started right on the front edge of that. That's 0, and I can move back and forth, but as I move my camera, remember how it used to make my character run all over? Now it won't. It's stuck at the 0 point on the x-axis. So the red or x-axis will always be 0 now. So now we've made one step closer to our side scroller. We can run back and forth, but only along the axis where we're going to have our game. So next we have to fix it so the camera quits rotating. And I think I'll do that in the next video. Hey, I hope you learned something. Stick with us and we'll continue on our 2D side scroller game. This is the Big Toad and I am out.